Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Monday, June the 7th. We got another two-game Monday slate to go over. We got Milwaukee, Brooklyn, we got game 2 of that series, and then we got Denver, Phoenix kicking off their series in the Western Conference. So 2 games tonight. We're going to go game by game as always, guys. Give an early look on this slate. My first thoughts, what does stand out to me taking a first look at this slate on Sunday night. So before we get started with the breakdown, as always, I would appreciate it if you would click that like button down below, click that subscribe button as well, and also hit the notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload. You also do get notified every time I live stream. Now, I haven't been live streaming these last few days. I really haven't made any videos these last few days, but I said it in my video yesterday. I'll for sure be back with a live stream this afternoon. I'll probably go live around 5:30 Eastern because we do have a little bit of a later lock today. Lock's at 7:30, so I'll probably go live around 5:30 Eastern. If you guys do want to check my YouTube channel, then I'll be live breaking down the slate. If you want to come and hang out, have your questions answered, as always, for the 30-40 minutes that we're live, we'll just kind of talk through the slate, answer any questions you guys have. So be sure to tune into the live stream on Monday afternoon. Hit that like button, guys. Hit that subscribe button, and let's go ahead and take a look at Monday's two-game slate. So we'll start off with Milwaukee and Brooklyn, and this is definitely the more appealing game of the two today. Clearly, this is a game where we really are going to have a lot of interest, and especially on the Brooklyn side. We already know that James Harden is going to be out today, so with James Harden out, that is definitely going to open up some plays from Brooklyn that we're going to like a lot. So first off, though, we'll start off on the Milwaukee side. Look at the Bucks here. You got Giannis at the top for 11K. I think Giannis, on a two-game slate, is clearly a top play today. There are some other studs, that I do really like. You have Jokic on this slate. You have Kevin Durant playing without Harden. You have Kyrie playing without Harden. I think I'm going to put Giannis up there with those guys. He probably will come very close to Jokic for me. I think Giannis might be higher owned than Jokic. Right now, I think I prefer Jokic for the lower ownership just because I think, he's not going to be as popular. But clearly, Giannis is a good play, on this slate. And we actually do have some value today. With Harden getting ruled out, that does give us some value from Brooklyn that we will talk about. So this could be one of those slates where you actually might be able to play multiple studs. It's kind of been tough to do that on these playoff slates because value is always hard to find. But we actually do have some good punt options today that I like. So if you want to pay for Giannis, I think he's clearly a good play here. Played 35 minutes last game in game 1 of this series, which is kind of weird. You would expect Giannis to be playing like 40 minutes in the playoffs, but only 35 minutes from Giannis. I think that's probably going to change as this series goes on. I think we're going to see Giannis play more than 35 minutes a night. I think most nights he's going to play like 38 to 40 minutes. So Giannis at 11K, if he's going to play close to 40 minutes, is clearly a top option on a two-game slate. Chris Middleton, 8,100, I think is more of a lower-owned option. I don't see him being that popular today. He feels overpriced at 8,100. Could Middleton go out there and have a good game? He absolutely could, but you're definitely overpaying for Chris Middleton at this point. I would much rather play Jrue Holiday. Now, Jrue Holiday at 7,800 feels priced about right as well. Like, he doesn't feel like a guy that stands out. Like, if he was like 7K today, I'd have a lot more interest in Jrue Holiday. At 7,800, again, feels priced about right, but we're going to get, close to 40 minutes from Jrue Holiday. Him and Chris Middleton, have been pretty equal in terms of fantasy production this season, in terms of their fantasy point per minute average. So I'd probably just rather play Holiday, honestly. I think Holiday's the better player as well. He's just the more productive player. He's probably my second favorite play from Milwaukee behind Giannis. I mean, this Milwaukee team I don't love on this slate. I think Giannis is clearly a good play. I think Jrue is an option. But like Brook Lopez, I don't think I'm going to go to on this slate. Center's relatively weak. We don't have a ton of great center options. You can play Jokic and Giannis obviously at the top. They're clearly good plays. But once you get past Jokic and Giannis, do you want to play DeAndre Ayton, who's kind of been struggling lately? Do you want to play Brook Lopez? Blake Griffin actually might be a guy we can look to for value. But there's no value here. Bobby Portis, Paul Millsap, Nick Claxton. I'm not playing any of these punt guys at center. I think center's probably a position you're going to be paying up at for either Giannis or Jokic. But yeah, if you want to go to Brook Lopez, I mean, he's going to play probably 30 minutes. He's 4,900. He had a decent game in game 1 of this series, 26 DK points in 28 minutes. I'm fine with Lopez, but not a guy that I feel like I really have to go to on this slate. Then Bryn Forbes, he had a really bad game last game. Played 22 minutes off the bench, had 9 fantasy points. I don't think I'm going to go to Bryn Forbes at 4,500. PJ Tucker did start last game. They went with him instead of Pat Connaughton. Tucker played 28 minutes, had 17 DK points. If you're trying to go for a full stars and scrub lineup, which might actually be viable on this slate, probably, PJ Tucker would be a guy that I would look to if you're trying to pay up for multiple guys. Like if you're trying to fit Harden, or not Harden, but if you're trying to fit Jokic, Giannis, KD, like all in the same lineup, you're probably going to have to play someone like PJ Tucker. For that reason, I think he's viable. He probably starts again and plays close to 30 minutes. Obviously, PJ Tucker is not a guy that we really ever roster, but on a 2-game slate, he is someone you can actually look to. I had some interest in him last slate when he was announced as starting, and if he starts again, I think he's viable at 3,200. But clearly on Milwaukee, Giannis is the top play here by a mile, and then Drew Holiday I have interest in, Brook Lopez I have some interest in, and I'm fine with PJ Tucker as a punt option. But that does it for the Bucks side. Now on Brooklyn, this is where a lot of my interest comes today. There's a ton to like from Brooklyn today. We already know that James Harden is going to be out for this game. So with James Harden out, we should see the usage on this team dominated by Kyrie and Kevin Durant. Pretty much Harden was basically out last game. He only played like 40 seconds before he got injured. So Harden was basically out last game. We saw Kevin Durant have a pretty good game, played 40 minutes, had 52 DraftKings points. Kyrie Irving played a ton of minutes. He played 45 minutes, had 48 DraftKings points. I like both these guys a ton. I think they're clearly two of the best plays on this slate. I think if I had to choose one, I honestly probably prefer Kyrie Irving, especially because he's $1,000 cheaper. I think taking the savings going down to Kyrie is probably going to be the move that I go, but you could definitely play Kevin Durant and Kyrie together. I see no reason why not. These guys should just dominate the usage today. So love Kyrie, love KD. Kyrie looks really good on Yahoo as well. Shooting guard, $39, way too cheap for Kyrie Irving. Like, you look at his price on Yahoo, he's $9 less than Kevin Durant. He's $11 less than Jokic. He's $16 less than Giannis. Love Kyrie on Yahoo. I think he's clearly a top play on Yahoo. And even at 9,200 on DraftKings, Kyrie's definitely one of my favorite spin-ups today. He clearly benefits without James Harden. And if they're going to play Kyrie 44, 45 minutes like they did last game, it's going to be hard for him to disappoint at 9,200. And then Kevin Durant, yeah, great option as well. He took 25 shots last game. Kyrie Irving took like 25 shots, 26. So you're going to see both these guys chuck in, taking 25, 30 shots a night, especially while Harden's out. The assist numbers for Kyrie should go up with Harden off the floor. So yeah, love both those guys. Joe Harris is $6K. I'll probably avoid. I don't think his role really changes with Harden out, and he feels overpriced at $6K. But the value plays, this is where we can get a lot of our value today. Blake Griffin last game, I haven't really been on Blake Griffin all this season, but he played 35 minutes last game in the first game of the series, and I'll be honest, I have no idea if that happens again, but it was definitely a good thing to see. This is a different matchup against Milwaukee. In the Boston series, we didn't really see Blake Griffin play a ton. Like, he played around 20 minutes a night. He got 25 minutes at one game. But this is a matchup against a Milwaukee team that, is somewhat big. They do have Brook Lopez out there who they're going to play 28 to 30 minutes. Obviously, Giannis is going to be out there a ton. They have Bobby Portis, they'll give minutes to. Like, this is a team that does usually have a big, at least one, or if not two bigs on the floor at all times. So if we're going to see Blake Griffin play anywhere near 30 minutes, I know he's not nearly as productive as he used to be. I don't think we should expect him to score 46 DraftKings points again. But for 4,100, he is definitely someone I'm looking to for value today. As long as he gets those minutes, he's going to very likely pay off this price tag. He's super cheap on Yahoo as well, so I do like him a lot over there. $12, clearly one of the better values on this slate, in my opinion. With Jeff Green still out, Jeff Green's already been ruled out for this game. That should solidify the minutes for Blake Griffin. Last game, pretty much him and Nick Claxton split the center minutes. I assume that happens again, and if we're going to get 30-plus minutes from Blake Griffin, for 4,100, he's a top value play today, as gross as it sounds. And then Bruce Brown, I think, is the guy that benefits the most with James Harden out. He did start the second half in place of Harden. He also, I'm pretty sure, was the first guy off the bench whenever Harden got injured. So I'm expecting Bruce Brown to start today, probably play 25, close to 30 minutes. He's been a productive player when he does get minutes. He's a guy that can score. He's a really good rebounder. That's something he's really good at is rebounding. He can get defensive stats as well. He's just one of those guys that can do a little bit of everything. Can score, can rebound, can get assists, can get defensive stats. For 3,800, Bruce Brown looks like a really good value play today. I like him a lot with Harden out. Super cheap on Yahoo as well. Another guy I like over there, only $11. And then Mike James off the bench, I think, maybe he starts in place of Harden, but I'd be surprised if that happens. I'm assuming that Bruce Brown starts, but Mike James did benefit a ton off the bench. He played 30 minutes, which was kind of surprising because he was basically out of the rotation during the Boston series. He really barely, he played a total of 10 minutes through those 5 games against Boston. And then against Milwaukee, he played 30 minutes last game. Now, obviously, Harden getting injured definitely helped to get James more minutes. So with Harden out today, I don't know if we get 30 minutes again, but we probably get at least like 22, 24 minutes from Mike James. it seems like he's the guard they want to give the minutes to. Like Tyler Johnson didn't even play last game. I'm pretty sure he played like the last minute of the game just because it was garbage time. So if we're going to get anywhere near 30 minutes from Mike James at 3,300, he's another very strong value play on the slate and a guy that I'm going to be looking to from this Brooklyn team. Brooklyn's clearly the most appealing team on the slate. There's studs we want to pay up for here. All the value that I like today is coming from Brooklyn. So I like Mike James as well. And he's minimum salary on Yahoo, so I think he also looks like a really good value play on Yahoo. But that's probably it for Brooklyn. Like, I don't think I'm going to anyone else on this team. You know, Nick Claxton, again, he played like 14 minutes last game. He's probably going to play like 12 to 14 minutes. I don't see too much interest going there. Tyler Johnson barely played last game. He only played like the final minute in garbage time. Again, it seems like Mike James is the guy they're going to give Harden's minutes to. Him and Bruce Brown, it seems like, are going to be the guys that get most of Harden's minutes. And then like Landry Shamet, I mean, he got like 12 minutes off the bench, but was not productive at all. You know, maybe Landry Shamet gets a few more minutes with Harden out, but I don't think I'm going to go there. That's probably it for Brooklyn. I mean, this Brooklyn team, they're going to run a tight rotation. I'm assuming they probably run like an 8 or 9 man rotation, and you see Mike James, Nick Claxton, Shamet, and then that's probably it. Like, those are probably the only guys that are going to play today. Maybe Tyler Johnson plays a little bit more than he did last game, but Brooklyn pretty much last game ran an 8-man rotation. They probably do that again today, and if that's the case, we're going to have to look to some of these value guys, especially, you know, the guys that benefit without Harden that should see more minutes. Mike James, Bruce Brown, those two in particular. So yeah, lots to like from Brooklyn today, guys. Clearly Harden being out is massive. You know, it changes a ton. It definitely benefits Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. You should see KD and Kyrie just dominate the usage. You should see both those guys play 40-plus minutes. They're clearly two of the best plays on this slate. And then the value plays, Mike James, Bruce Brown, Blake Griffin, if he plays 30-plus minutes again, I like a lot for value. So, yeah, that does it for Brooklyn. This is a team I have a lot of interest in today, and clearly I think this is the most appealing game between the two games today. This is the game I have the most interest in. But we will talk about the Denver-Phoenix game as well. On the Denver side, you know, as I said earlier, I think Jokic might come in lower owned than Giannis. I think he might come in lower owned than Kevin Durant as well. And while I do like Kevin Durant a lot today, I do like Giannis a lot as well. Jokic is someone that I have interest in too. 10,800. You know, feels priced appropriately. It's not like he's too cheap or anything, but Jokic we know has massive upside. You know, during that Portland series, we didn't really see any massive games from Jokic except from the one game that went to double overtime. We got 77 DraftKings points from Jokic in that game. You know, we didn't see any massive games, though, from him in that series, but he was super consistent. I mean, 56, 59, 55. Like, we know what Jokic is going to do. He's going to go out there and play 36, 38 minutes, most likely. He's a guy that obviously has triple-double upside, and he's an incredibly productive player when he's on the floor. This is a matchup against DeAndre Ayton that I expect Jokic to be able to have a lot of success in. So at 10,800, Jokic definitely one of my favorite pay-up options today, and especially if he's going to come in lower owned than KD, lower owned than Giannis. I really like Jokic on this slate. And on Yahoo, I think he looks really good over there as well. Center on Yahoo it's tough to fill out center. I mean, you have Jokic at the top, you have Ayton, you have Brook Lopez, and then that's probably it. Like, I don't think you're going to any of these other guys. At center, you're most likely going to be paying up for Jokic on Yahoo, in my opinion. So clearly, at center on a short 2-game slate where there's really only like 3 playable options, I think Jokic is the guy you definitely want to try and fit in on Yahoo if you can at $50. He's one of my favorite studs today for sure to go along with those Brooklyn guys. And then, you know, Michael Porter Jr. as a mid-range option I think looks really good for 7,100. He kind of struggled in that Portland series but did kind of find his groove the last 2 games of the series. 51, 42 DK points. We know without Jamal Murray, without Will Barton, you know, PJ Dozier I believe is still out. We're going to see plenty of opportunity for Michael Porter now. He's been kind of inconsistent, but the minutes should still be there. He should probably get like 35 to 36 minutes if this game stays close. We know Michael Porter can score. We know he can be productive when he's on the floor. I definitely like him at 7,100. Campazzo, I don't have much interest in. It seems like he's kind of losing minutes to Monte Morris right now. If we're only going to get like 20-ish minutes from Campazzo, I don't want to go there. I would definitely just rather play Monte Morris, who's a little bit cheaper and has kind of been the guy they've been wanting to give the minutes to. Last 2 games against Portland before that series ended, he played 41 minutes off the bench in double overtime. Then he played 33 minutes off the bench in Game 6, excuse me. So yeah, if we're going to get like 28, 30 minutes from Monte Morris, he's been really productive lately. He should continue to be productive while Jamal Murray's out. The opportunities for sure going to be there for Monte Morris. You know, the price is starting to come up a little bit, up to 5,400, but I do still think that Monte Morris is a good option at 5,400. I don't mind Aaron Gordon at 5,500 either. He's another guy that, has not been great for Denver this season in terms of fantasy, his fantasy upside, his fantasy value. Like, we haven't really seen any good games from Aaron Gordon in terms of fantasy, but kind of found his stride these last few games against Portland, 35, 32 DK points. Have some interest in him at 5,500, but don't think he's like a top play. Austin Rivers, going to start, play a ton of minutes. He's not been that productive. He's definitely been inconsistent, but at 4K, he's someone that you can look to if you do need a value play. But that's probably it for Denver. Like, I don't think I'm going to any of the bench guys. It's really just the starters for me, plus Monte Morris. And Campazzo, I don't have much interest in. I think it's really just Jokic, MPJ, Gordon, Morris, and then Rivers. That's probably the guys I'm looking to from Denver. Jokic and MPJ are my two favorite plays, and then Monte Morris would probably be my third favorite from this Nuggets team. But, yeah, we can go ahead and talk about Phoenix real quick before we do end the video. So, on the Suns side, you have Devin Booker at 8,500. Devin Booker on this slate, I think, is going to be pretty low owned. I expect Kyrie to get a lot more ownership, and while I do think that Kyrie is a much better play, I mean, Devin Booker could outscore Kyrie tonight, and I would not be surprised. If you want to go to Devin Booker in tournaments for the low ownership, I don't mind it at all. He's going to play massive minutes. Obviously, he doesn't project as good as Kyrie. Kyrie's getting a huge boost without Harden, whereas Booker is still having to play alongside, his normal guys. There's not really anyone out for Phoenix right now that's benefiting Booker, but again, Booker should be low owned. If that appeals to you, I think on a 2-game slate, you could definitely get some exposure to Devin Booker. But if I was playing one lineup tonight, I doubt Devin Booker cracks my one lineup on this slate. I just greatly prefer Kyrie Irving. DeAndre Ayton, I think given the lack of options at center, is someone you can look to. Now, I don't feel great about Ayton. This is kind of a tough matchup against Jokic. I mean, they're going to need his size out there. Like, he's going to have to basically play as many minutes as he can. Pretty much, he's going to have to match Jokic. I think whatever minutes Jokic is on the floor, you'll see Ayton out there. So if Jokic plays 36 minutes, I expect Ayton to play 36 minutes. He was really good at the first few games of the Lakers series and then kind of tailed off towards the end of the series, but he should be low owned, but given the poor play recently, there are centers you can pay up for with Jokic. You can play Giannis at center on DraftKings. You have Brook Lopez is a cheaper option. You have Blake Griffin you can play at center. I don't expect Ayton to get much ownership. Again, if you want to go there in tournaments, he's fine, but I don't feel great about him. Chris Paul, though, I think is probably my favorite play overall from Phoenix. We saw him get injured in that, I can't remember what game it was. I think it was game 2. He got injured in that Lakers series, and it really wasn't the same since then. He did have a good game. I think it was game 4. He finally kind of bounced back, had that good game, 41 DK points in 32 minutes. The last 2 games, though, to end the series, he wasn't great, only 24, 28 DK points, but the minutes were starting to trend up for Chris Paul, which was good to see. He did play 29 minutes in their most recent game, and I think with a couple extra days of rest, the last time the Suns played was on Thursday, so they've had, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they've had like 3 to 4 days of rest here. I'm expecting Chris Paul to be full go. I'm expecting him to play his normal 34, 35 minutes, maybe more. For 6,500, I mean, if we're going to get full minutes from Chris Paul, like, he is way too cheap today. I've been playing Chris Paul lately, and it hasn't really worked out. But I think he's going to be someone that probably goes overlooked on this slate. Given the game log, given that he's had some mediocre games lately, people are going to shy away from him. But I feel like that's definitely a mistake. I think we're going to get 36 minutes from Chris Paul here. For 6,500, we know Chris Paul has a ton of upside still. As a guy that can produce when he's on the floor. I do like Chris Paul a lot today, and he's probably my favorite play from Phoenix overall. Cameron Payne, I'm going to continue to fade, especially while Chris Paul's minutes trending up. That's just going to take minutes away from Cameron Payne, so I don't really have interest in Cameron Payne at 5,100. Crowder at 5K is a fine option. He probably plays 34, 35 minutes. You never know what you're going to get from Jay Crowder, but for 5K is a mid-range forward option. Him and Aaron Gordon, I think, project very similarly, so both of those guys feel pretty close to me. Maybe I would give the edge to Crowder, but I think Crowder's a fine option at forward. Mikal Bridges is basically the same thing as Crowder. Or they basically, they do the exact same thing. They're going to play similar minutes. They're going to produce similarly. One could outscore the other. I don't really know. It's really a coin flip between Crowder and Bridges, but both guys are definitely viable on a short slate like this. And that's probably it for Phoenix. I don't see too much else I like on the Suns team. So, yeah, guys, that does it for this little 2-game slate. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Hope you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to click that like button, click that subscribe button as well, and also hit the notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload. You also do get notified every time I live stream. Like I said, guys, I'll be back Monday afternoon with a live stream, probably around 5:30 Eastern time. So if you guys do want to check my YouTube channel, then I most likely will be live breaking down the slate and answering all your guys' questions as always. So, yeah, best of luck on this Monday 2-game slate, guys. Appreciate you watching. Hope you did enjoy. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.